I'm Sally Mills of LaVolta and LaVolta Principles, and welcome to Digital Bullets 2010. We've asked some industry experts to share their thoughts on issues and developments in the digital industry. We've given each person 20 seconds to answer those questions, or else they get the chop. So we'll be broadcasting a sizzling digital bullet on a regular basis, one question answered with many different points of view. Hope you enjoy. We're told that very soon we'll be living in a world where everything we do in computing, including data and applications on our mobile phone, will come down from the cloud when we turn on and go up to the cloud when we switch off. Google Apps are just the beginning. Not only that, but that any single user can in theory draw on massive storage capacity or processing capacity available in the cloud. What do you think the major developments and implications will be arising from cloud computing?
Consumers are going to go, okay, I get the fact that my data is being held or processed out in the cloud and stored there. What does that mean? Like, who can access that? What privacy and security guidelines are there protecting that? What happens to it? How long does it stay there for? So I think it's really going to be, the biggest issue is going to be privacy and security.
What you'll see with the development of cloud computing is that pretty well every application that will be run in the future will be run in the cloud, and the ability for us to take a range of applications and mash them up through an interface lets us get rapid deployment at low cost and really will drive innovation. So the main things I'm seeing at the moment are issues around security and people scared of the cloud, but as I say, if you think your organisation's got better security than Amazon, Google, Microsoft or IBM, you're kidding yourself. So get on the cloud because it's the way of now, but even more so in the future.
Cloud computing, I think, is a pretty fascinating area. We're certainly seeing the big two technology guys flexing their muscles. Microsoft, obviously, need to do something within this space, and Steve Ballmer was actually quoted as saying this week that 70% of all Microsoft projects are now cloud related, and that's extending to 90% within a year. So they're obviously taking the space very seriously.
People will be able to do more with less. So what a department could have done 15 years ago, an individual may be able to do. Issues, who owns that data? I think you look at the amount of data that people have put up into the cloud over the last 5 years, this decade invariably we'll start to see people questioning who owns it and how do they actually get that back.
People are now able to actually, through cloud computing, to share information like they weren't able to before. They had to have standalone applications to actually do that. So now, as long as you've got an internet connection, it's pretty much a streamlined process.
One of the biggest implications is going to be if everything's free. And if it is going to be free, Microsoft are going to have to think of a new way to fund all the development and all the software development they've been doing. So it may be drastic times ahead for Microsoft and some of the software development companies.
I think two things. One, it'll make the tablet devices more attractive. I mean, these things will be thin, fast, without a lot of memory. So cloud computing and having your data stored somewhere else makes those devices very powerful. So I think that's one. And secondly, from a business point of view, it means that you can get smaller businesses being able to compete more effectively against larger businesses, given they don't need to invest as heavily in infrastructure and get big applications.
I'm a very big fan of the cloud. In fact, one of our new businesses, AdSlot, operates its end-to-end platform entirely on the Microsoft Azure cloud. And the biggest benefit we get from it is the fact that we can scale the computing power instantaneously. This means that we can spend a lot more time and our money on OPEX rather than focusing on CAPEX.
I think the biggest thing is that small businesses can really take advantage of enterprise-level IT solutions, whereas in the past they just haven't been able to from a cost perspective. So having more of an operational cost rather than a CAPEX cost really gives them an advantage.
It's more cost-effective, it's competitively you get to be able to use the latest and greatest. To me, it's not just about the storage side of it, which is great, of course, but it's all the applications and tools that you can essentially rent. And I think that's going to have a big impact on innovation and startups, because suddenly they can afford and they get access to the sorts of tools that all the big boys play with.
I think we're just starting to see the beginning of cloud computing for mobile, so I'm going to take the mobile perspective, which will mean that that mobiles, particularly feature phones, will now turn into something that's really powerful that will rival desktop computers as well. So I think over the next couple of years we'll see mobiles being used, particularly in less developed countries where mobiles will be used instead of PC.
I think cloud computing is a good advancement especially for small business or medium-sized business. Those that have a need to scale their businesses quickly, they can access extra capacity and extra storage at the flick of the virtual switch. But like all of these things, they do come at a cost. You need to think about how you architect your application to work in the cloud computing world best. You have to realise that you now don't control everything that happens.
We've had the cloud for probably 15 years. In our industry, we either centralise or decentralise, centralise, decentralise. And when we're centralised, we're in the cloud, and when we're decentralised, we're down on the desktop. When you think about it and you think about internet applications, most of us have had services in the cloud for at least 5 years. Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Yahoo Messenger, Facebook, Bebo, MySpace. All of us are increasingly comfortable with storing stuff in the cloud.
I think it's really exciting. I think that opportunity to access data from anywhere, anytime and any device is really interesting, and I think that the opportunity is massive, and there'll be a lot more happening in that space, and definitely we need competition to Google Apps. Where that's going to come from, I'm not entirely sure, but we need more of that kind of thing. There'll still be the battle of the desktop as well, though, because people will need to be able to access stuff offline as much as they need to be able to access it online.
I think the major implication of the cloud is trust. Andrew Carnegie said, put all your eggs in one basket and then watch the basket. But I'm not sure whether we trust something as ethereal as a cloud to be the basket for everything we own.
The real benefit will be to consumers who will be able to access richer applications and more of them at a lower price, and they won't have to download those onto their desktop. So they'll have access to these applications wherever they are, regardless of the device. And that's going to be a good thing for everybody.